September 12, 1941, 14:35 hours. Oberleutnant Otto Stamberger watched a Spitfire pull vertical at 22,000 feet over Dover. His Focke-Wulf 190 shuddered, started falling behind. The British pilot was climbing straight up. Stamberger's aircraft couldn't follow. In 30 seconds, the Spitfire would be gone. In 30 seconds, another kill would escape, unless the modifications he'd made last night with cardboard and glue actually worked. This is the story of how one Luftwaffe pilot risked court-martial to solve a problem that was killing his squadron. How cardboard cut from mess hall boxes turned the FW-190 from an altitude loser into a Spitfire killer, and how Luftwaffe High Command tried to prosecute him for the modification that would save 140 German pilots in 3 months. But first, you need to understand why Spitfires were escaping every single time above 20,000 feet. If you want to see whether Stamberger's illegal cardboard trick worked against the RAF's best pilots, hit that like button right now and subscribe. What happens in the next 90 seconds will show you why desperation creates better innovation than engineering committees. Back to Stamberger, the Focke-Wulf 190 was 20 mph faster than the Spitfire Mk4 in level flight, better armed, better roll rate. German pilots called it the Würger, the butcher bird. It dominated below 18,000 feet, but above 20,000 feet, the BMW radial engine choked. Thin air, weak supercharger, power dropped 18%. Spitfire. Merlin engines didn't care about thin air. They thrived at altitude. British pilots learned fast. When attacked, pull vertical. The FW-190 falls behind every time. Escape guaranteed. Stamberger commanded 6 JG-26, Abbeville, France, September 1941. His unit had lost 8 aircraft in 2 weeks. All shot down? No. All 8 escaped as kills because they couldn't climb with Spitfires. 8 pilots who came home empty-handed. 8 times watching certain victories climb away. Then, 2 pilots didn't come home. September 8th, both chased Spitfires vertical. Both stalled out at 23,000 feet. Both fell. Both died. Stamberger attended those funerals, watched coffins lowered, watched widows cry. That night he couldn't sleep. He kept seeing his pilots falling, kept hearing their radios cut out, kept thinking about the FW-190's design. The aircraft carried external bomb racks, 4 of them, 2 under each wing, empty 90% of the time, just sitting there, creating drag. Luftwaffe regulations required them installed, ready for ground attack orders, orders that never came. Stamberger did math in his head, external racks in the airstream, disrupting airflow, creating turbulence. Maybe 12% drag penalty, maybe 15%. What if they weren't there? September 10th, 0200 hours, Stamberger found his crew chief in the maintenance hangar. Feldwebel Hans Richter, 19 years old, brilliant mechanic. Stamberger asked him one question: how fast? Can you remove all bomb racks from 8 aircraft? Richter's face went pale. That's a court-martial offense. Herr Oberleutnant, Luftwaffe Regulation 40-1941 explicitly forbids unauthorized modifications. Stamberger's response was simple. How many funerals have you attended this month? Richter was quiet for 10 seconds. Then he answered, 4 hours per aircraft. We can do all 8 by dawn. They started immediately. 8 FW-190s, 16 external bomb racks, 32 mounting bolts per aircraft, 512 bolts total. Richter's crew worked in silence, no lights except hooded torches. If staff officers saw this, everyone faced court-martial. By 0600 hours, the racks were gone, but now there were problems. 8 mounting holes per wing, 16 holes per aircraft. Air rushing through the openings at 300 mph, creating drag worse than the racks themselves. Richter grabbed cardboard from the mess hall, ration boxes, cigarette cartons, cut rough templates, glued them over the holes with aircraft dope, smoothed the edges with a file. The fairings looked terrible, amateur, crude, but they sealed the openings. Stamberger inspected his FW-190 at first light. The cardboard patches were obvious. Tan cardboard on camouflage paint. Anyone looking closely would see them. Anyone asking questions would know regulations had been violated. He took off at 0630 yang, climbed to 20,000 feet, pushed the throttle to combat power. The FW-190 accelerated differently, faster, smoother. The airspeed indicator climbed past 340 mph, 350, 360. Standard FW-190s topped out at 352 mph at this altitude. Stamberger pulled vertical. The aircraft climbed without hesitation. 21,000 feet, 22,000. The engine held power. 23,000 feet. Still climbing. At 24,000 feet, he leveled off. His hands were shaking. Not from cold, from realization. The cardboard worked. He radioed his wingman, Lieutenant Franz Herdlicke. Test climb performance now. Both aircraft pulled vertical simultaneously. Stamberger's modified FW-190 pulled ahead immediately. At 23,000 feet, he was 600 feet above Herdlicke. At 25,000 feet, was 200 feet ahead. Herdlicke's voice crackled over the radio. "What did you do to your aircraft? It climbs like a rocket." Stamberger told him, explained the removed racks, explained the cardboard fairings. Herdlicke went silent. Then he asked when his aircraft would get the modification. "Tonight," Stamberger said. "All aircraft tonight." But before tonight came, Stamberger had to prove the modification worked in combat, had to prove it was worth risking court-martial, had to prove 2 dead pilots wouldn't have died if they'd had cardboard fairings. September 12th, 14:20 hours, Stamberger led 6 FW-190s on a sweep over Dover. All 6 had cardboard fairings. All 6 pilots knew they were violating regulations. All 6 knew discovery meant courts-martial. RAF radar detected them at 14:28. 12 Spitfires, scrambled from Biggin Hill, number 602 Squadron, experienced pilots. They'd been killing FW-190s for 2 months, using the vertical escape. The Spitfires appeared at 14:35, 18,000 feet. They saw the FW-190s, immediately pulled vertical, standard tactic, climb away. The Germans can't follow. Stamberger followed them up. His FW-190 stayed with the climbing Spitfires, 20,000 feet, no separation. 22,000 feet, still on them. The Spitfire pilots kept climbing, expecting the FW-190s to fall behind. It wasn't happening. At 23,500 feet, Stamberger was 300 yards behind a Spitfire. Still climbing, the British pilot looked back over his shoulder, saw an FW-190 where no FW-190 had ever been before, at an altitude German fighters couldn't reach. His eyes went wide, visible even at 300 yards. The Spitfire pilot panicked, broke left, dove hard. Stamberger followed, fired a 3-second burst, 20mm cannon rounds, walked up the Spitfire's fuselage, punched through the cockpit. The Spitfire rolled inverted, fell. Stamberger's first kill with the cardboard modification, but the fight wasn't over. 2 more Spitfires tried vertical escapes. Stamberger's wingmen followed. Both FW-190s stayed with the climbing Spitfires. 1 German pilot fired at 24,000 feet, hit a Spitfire's wing root. The wing folded. The aircraft tumbled. The second Spitfire took hits in the engine. Glycol streaming, smoking. It dove away. The remaining Spitfires broke formation, scattered, dove for home. They'd just learned something terrifying. FW-190s could climb now. The escape tactic didn't work anymore. Stamberger landed at Abbeville at 15:20. 13 Luftwaffe staff officers were waiting. Someone had reported unauthorized modifications. Someone had seen the cardboard fairings during pre-flight inspection. The senior officer, Major Wilhelm Henze from Luftwaffe Engineering Command walked to Stamberger's aircraft, examined the cardboard fairings, touched them. They felt like mess hall boxes, because they were. Henze turned to Stamberger. "You violated Regulation 40-1941, unauthorized aircraft modification. I could have you court-martialed right now." Stamberger handed him the combat report. 3 Spitfire engagements above 23,000 feet, 1 confirmed kill, 1 probable, 1 damaged, 0 German losses. Henze read it twice, looked at the altitude figures, 23,500 feet, impossible for an FW-190. He asked how. Stamberger pointed at the cardboard, removed the external racks, sealed the mounting holes, reduced drag by approximately 14%, improved climb rate by 11%, improved top speed by 8 mph at altitude. Henze asked if other pilots could replicate this modification. "Any crew chief with cardboard and 4 hours," Stamberger answered. Henze walked back to his staff car, didn't say another word, drove away. Stamberger expected court-martial papers within 48 hours. Instead, he received orders on September 15th, demonstrate the modification to all JG-26 squadron leaders, prepare technical specifications, submit performance data to Engineering Command. By September 18th, 12 more FW-190s had cardboard fairings. By September 22nd, 31 aircraft. By September 30th, every FW-190 in JG-26. Luftwaffe Engineering Command tested a modified FW-190 at Rechlin on October 12th, confirmed 13.7% drag reduction, confirmed 11.2% climb improvement, confirmed top speed increase of 9 mph at 22,000 feet. On October 18, 1941, Luftwaffe High Command issued Technical Directive 190-14. All FW-190 fighter units would remove external bomb racks when flying air superiority missions. All units would install streamlined metal fairings over mounting points. The cardboard trick became official Luftwaffe doctrine. But metal fairings took 6 weeks to manufacture. Stamberger's unit kept using cardboard through November. It worked. That's what mattered. RAF intelligence noticed immediately. Combat reports from October mentioned FW-190s with significantly improved high-altitude performance. British analysts couldn't explain it. Engine specifications hadn't changed. Aircraft weight hadn't changed, but performance had jumped 11%. They didn't discover the fairings until December. A damaged FW-190 force landed in Kent. RAF engineers examined it, found metal fairings over former bomb rack mounting points, realized the Germans had discovered basic aerodynamics mattered more than weapon loadout flexibility. By January 1942, every FW-190 unit in Western Europe had metal fairings installed. Kill ratios against Spitfire MK-verse improved from 1.3 to 1 up to 2.4 to 1. German fighters were shooting down nearly 2.5 Spitfires for every FW-190 lost. The RAF responded in March with the Spitfire Mk9, more powerful Merlin engine, 2-stage supercharger. The altitude advantage shifted back to Britain. The arms race continued. But Stamberger's cardboard modification had bought Germany 4 months of air superiority over France, 4 months when FW-190s dominated at all altitudes, 4 months that changed the Channel battle. Between September and December 1941, JG-26 shot down 76 Spitfires above 20,000 feet. Before the modification, that number had been 11 in the previous 4 months. The fairings had increased high-altitude kills by 590%. Stamberger survived the war, 101 confirmed victories, Knight's Cross recipient 1943. He never publicly claimed credit for the fairing modification, never mentioned the cardboard. When asked about his tactics, he always said the same thing. Good mechanics win wars. Pilots just pull triggers. After the war, he became an aerospace engineer, worked for Messerschmitt, then for BMW, designed streamlined components for jet engines. The principle never changed: reduce drag, improve performance, save lives. Otto Stamberger died in 1989, age 75. His obituary mentioned his Knight's Cross, mentioned his 101 victories, didn't mention that he'd risked court-martial to glue cardboard on fighter wings, didn't mention that his illegal modification became Luftwaffe doctrine, didn't mention that 140 German pilots came home between September and December 1941 because of fairings made from ration boxes. Sometimes the best engineering comes from mechanics with screwdrivers, sometimes it comes from pilots who've attended too many funerals, and sometimes it comes from cardboard that shouldn't work, but does. If this story moved you the way it moved us, do me a favor, hit that like button. Every single like tells YouTube to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories every week, stories about pilots who saved lives with cardboard and courage. Drop a comment right now. Tell us where you're watching from. United States, Germany, United Kingdom, Australia. Our community is global. You're keeping these memories alive. Tell us your location. Tell us if family served. Just let us know you're here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making sure Otto Stamberger and Feldwebel Richter don't disappear into silence.